Hi guys, and welcome back to the Scout the Defender YouTube video, and today I thought I'd give you a little walk around of all of the modifications that we've made to Scout so far. Obviously a lot of you have followed the journey as I've made those modifications, but we've had a lot of new subscribers recently, so I'm really keen to give a walk around and show you kind of where Scout was before and where it is today and all the modifications that we've done along the way. So stay tuned and we'll give a walk around of the interior and the exterior modifications to Scout. Okay, so it's really hard to know where to start with this video because Scout has had a bit of a transformation since I first bought it, and I'll overlay some images now of when I basically collected it. You'll see it was basically a bone stock station wagon, and I've kind of wanted to put my own spin on it and had some ideas from the very start, and I've tried to channel it in that kind of direction without going overboard on the modifications. You'll notice the first thing I swapped out was the bumper. Here I fitted an ORE cranked style DRL front bumper. So the crank gives you kind of that angled pieces on the end, which gives it kind of a bit of a more unique look. You don't see many of these kind of style out on the road. I think it looks really smart. They've obviously got the DRLs built into them too. Again, it kind of freshens up the Defender, gives it a bit more of a modern look, and they run as soon as you put the ignition on. Again, just freshens up the car and makes it look a little bit more kind of contemporary compared to the kind of the bumpers of old where they don't have any kind of running lights in them. With the bumper, I've also fitted these light surrounds. Now these, again, I wanted to get that kind of heritage look whilst also keeping it, again, a bit contemporary. So I fitted these classic light surrounds. They get rid of that plastic trim that you have as standard. And again, I think they look a little bit kind of smarter and a little bit kind of tidier. Sprayed those body colour to match the rest of the car, and I'm really happy kind of with how they look. Surrounding those then, I've upgraded the lights, all of the lights on the car. So the side lights are now Y-Pack LEDs. I went for these kind of smoked colour. So these are kind of your standard LED lights, but with a smoked lens. I think they just kind of blend into the car a little bit more. And again, I really like the look of those. They are LED too. So again, unlike the side lights of old, these are much brighter and much more kind of effective, and they look, again, much more kind of modern when the car's turned on. And to keep on the lighting theme, I've also upgraded the headlights. So again, Defender owners out there will know that the original headlights are basically like candles. They're really poor. These are light parts, headlights supplied by ORE, and they make a world of difference. I think I've got a video on the channel of me installing those, so go back and check those out. But they make a massive difference. Not only do they look cool kind of when they're not even on, but when they're on, they really illuminate the road. You can opt to link these up to a DRL where you've got that hoop shape. That will be the DRL, and then you've got the kind of this little light within it. I've chosen not to hook up the DRL because I felt like I'd have too much going on if I had the DRL front bumper and the DRLs in the lamps, but it's kind of just personal preference. But all of the lighting has been upgraded, so whether that's at the rear side lights, the rear brake lights, fog lights, or headlights too, all upgraded to LEDs. Now, two more modifications that I've made to the, I guess, the front of the car. I've upgraded the grille. So as standard, this comes with the kind of plastic vented grille. I swapped it for this kind of metal mesh. I think this was from Zunsport, but I'll leave all the links to all the products in the description box below. Again, it gives it more of that heritage feel, and I think combines really nicely with the classic light surrounds. They have the same mesh weave, so they look really in keeping and they don't look kind of too jarring. Beneath that, beneath the bumper, I've got the ORE steering guard fitted. I don't do lots of off-roading, but it's nice to know that when I do go off on trails, I've got a bit of underneath protection from the ORE guard. It's got their powder coating on it, and the same as the bumper, which means that even if you chip it or you scratch it, the rest of the kind of rust doesn't spread across the rest of the product, and it keeps it contained. So you'll notice kind of on the bumper, the steering guard and other ORE products, they've been fitted for a while, but they still look kind of brand new. So I really rate those guys' quality. Another small change whilst we're still at the front, I swapped out the lettering. So as standard on the age of this Defender, it came with Land Rover written or spaced out in silver. Again, I wanted it a bit more discreet, so I upgraded it to say Defender, so it's more like the newer models, and also went for gloss black. Again, I think it's just a bit more subtle and a bit more kind of tied in with the rest of the Defender. So that was a really easy touch, but made a bit of a difference to kind of the look of the car. And then I'll get some close-ups of these, but I've also fitted ORE wing top vents. These are really cool because they kind of reference the old school Expedition kind of style pattern. Again, coated in the ORE powder coating, so they're not going to go rusty or look shabby anytime soon. They're a real nice kind of addition, and that kind of ties in the rest of the front of the car. Okay, so as we move around to the side of the Defender, you'll see I've got the Mantek Snorkel fitted. As I said before, I don't really do lots of off-roading, so it's not actually hooked up yet, but that is a job to do, as in get all the pipes kind of sealed so it is ready for deeper wading, even though it is, it's more of an air intake than it actually is a snorkel. But I really like how that kind of leans the car more towards that adventure expedition look. And with that, I've got 4 LED spotlights. These are again from Light Parts, the same company that provided the headlights, again supplied by ORE. These are just 35-watt spotlights, but they're really, really bright. They make a massive difference, and I'll show you kind of when I'm inside how I've wired those all up to a real nice, neat switch panel. So the spotlights are mounted on a Frontrunner Slimline 2 roof rack. If you've been following the channel for a little while, you'll notice that I've swapped out the roof rack. Main reasons are that I originally had the genuine Land Rover rack fitted, more of that caged style, which I think looked really great, but actually practically you couldn't put much stuff on it. It didn't have any kind of weight-bearing struts, and I'd have had to kind of somehow fabricated stuff to be able to put stuff on top. So I swapped out the roof rack for the Frontrunner Slimline. I really like how it's really tight to the roof, so you don't have any kind of awkward gappiness. So that's a big change that's happened quite recently. I also used the Frontrunner bracket system to mount the spotlights. I think Frontrunner have nailed it when it comes to kind of accessories for roof racks. These are, I think they're 20 quid for a pack of 2, but they slot into the rails of the roof rack and mean that you can hang your spotlights. I've kind of got them configured upside down, but they're a real neat way of hanging your spotlights. I'm a bit kind of OCD when it comes to wiring and cables, so ensured that all the cables are neatly tucked back so you can't really see how the spotlights are wired up. And they run, I'll overlay some footage, they run down the side of the roof rack and then in through the snorkel, and the wiring runs down the snorkel, so again, reducing the amount of wiring that I have on display, and I think it just looks really neat and smart. Other small details that make a difference to the overall look of the car, colour-coded wind mirrors. They just enhance the appearance rather than those plastic standard wing mirror caps that look really ratty after kind of not too long. And swapping out the wing mirror arms, this almost feels like a yearly thing to have to do, but the wing mirror arms can often corrode. So a quick 2-minute job and the parts are dead cheap, but keeping them looking nice and fresh and really clean, because they're the first thing to kind of rot and go kind of crusty and scabby and people notice them. So swapping those out is kind of a small change. Another small detail is the wind deflectors around the windows. Strangely, over on Instagram, it's something I'm asked quite often. These were just, I think they may have been from Terra Firma. They're just the wind deflectors again. When you're driving around quite often with the window open on your Defender to get your arm out, it's quite nice just to have the wind deflectors so you're not buffeted by the wind. Probably need to do the same on the mid windows too, and get some wind deflectors on those, but just thought I'd call those out because strangely it's something that I get asked quite a lot over on Instagram. Also, if you're not following us, check out Scout the Defender on Instagram. There's a really great community over there, and we post videos of our adventures and photos and images, so be sure to go and check us out over on Instagram too. Moving down to the side sills, again I did a video on this fairly recently, but all of the mud stuff spats. I think they stop some dirt going up the side of the car, although they're not perfect, but they also just give the car a bit more of an aggressive stance, and again look slightly different to some of the other Defenders that you see on the road. So I really like those. So they're fitted, the front, the kind of front rear, and then the full rears all fitted and sprayed again. Body colour to match the rest of the car. Now as we move around to the side of the truck, you'll notice the big box on top. That is our rooftop tent, a hard shell rooftop tent, which means that we can leave it on kind of all year round because it's a hard plastic. We don't have any kind of material going wet and getting kind of frost ridden throughout the winter. That's a Vicky Wood Mighty Oak 190 supplied by the guys at ORE, and that's an amazing bit of kit when we pitch up at campsites. It takes kind of 2 minutes to get the tent unfolded, and it's a massive tent inside. I'll leave a link to the video up in the top right corner, and that kind of demonstrates just kind of the capabilities of the tent. and I'll overlay some footage now too. But that's been a massive upgrade and something that we wanted to fit to the Defender for quite a while, so we're really pleased that we've kind of got that done. Other things to note on the side, tinted windows. I think the station wagons as standard can look almost like goldfish bowls. They've got so much glass, especially if it's a 110. So I've got the windows tinted. I can't remember what grade. It's not full limo tint. It's the one down step from that, because I thought it was still quite nice to have a little bit of kind of visibility in. But they make a big difference, and also from a security perspective, they keep some of your stuff kind of a bit more private and a bit more hidden. And then also we've swapped out the wheels. So as standard it came with Boost alloys. These are now black sawtooths. They're still on their standard tyres, which I always feel a bit embarrassed about. They don't look too aggressive, so at some point we'll swap those out for some BF Goodrich KO2s. They've got a bit more of an aggressive sidewall. They look a bit more kind of solid and generally do a better job if you do go down trails or whatever. We'll probably also put those on spacers, some 30mm spacers, to fill the arch and just generally give it a bit more of an aggressive stance. At the moment it feels maybe a bit apologetic when it's got some of these the standard tyres on. So again, that's something to watch out for, and we'll do a video on fairly soon. Okay, so moving round to the back of the Defender. As I mentioned at the start of the video, all of the lights are updated to YPAC LEDs, and they're all smoked, so none of the coloured lights on the back either. We've got the ORE rear wheel carrier on the back, an amazing bit of kit, and I'm sure you've seen videos that I've done it on before, or you've seen it online. That takes all of the weight of the rear wheel off the rear door and transfers it through to the crossmember. You'll see lots of kind of videos and footage online of people's rear doors actually cracked, especially if they're carrying bigger wheels and bigger tyre setups. The weight of the wheel can crack the rear door. That's coated in their powder coating, their specific powder coating, which means again that's been on for 2.5, probably almost coming up to 3 years now, and it looks kind of box fresh. Great bit of kit, knowing that you're not kind of causing any damage to your rear door. Up top we've got again some more light parts lights. This time these are the rear work lights, super bright, and it means that when we're camping up and we've got kind of our camp setup, we've got the rear drawer open, we can really see kind of what we're up to. Again, they were supplied by the guys at ORE. Again, another minor one, but all of the windscreen wipers are uprated. So again, the standard ones are really poor. I've uprated those to be the Bosch, I think they're Aero Twin wiper blades. Again, a small thing, but it makes a big difference when you've got wiper blades that actually work. One other thing I did also, again, I don't know whether I did a video on the YouTube channel, but I moved to the tow electrics. So as standard, they were mounted to the tow bar. I've moved those up and put them into the crossmember, and I used a plinth and a bracket from Ian from IRB. A real quick and easy job, but it really smartens up the back of the truck. You don't have any kind of tow electrics hanging off, and they're buried neatly into the crossmember itself. And then other smaller cosmetic things, so upgraded the badging, or changed the badging to be black as opposed to green, and also changed the lettering to say Defender in this kind of 3D type as opposed to the sticker that was starting to rot and wear away. So staying at the back, we've got the front runner ladder. As I said, with the roof rack, when we swapped that out, that was connected to a standard or a genuine Land Rover ladder, so we've swapped that out for the front runner style. That comes with the ladder and then the additional step to climb up and in it. We've still got the standard step, which I need to remove now. We don't really have a need for both. And also, if you're following, the guys from ORE have just launched a NAS rear step, which I'm hoping will be a new addition to the rear and really make it kind of even more kind of stand out, and it looks like an amazing product again with their powder coating system, so hopefully we'll get one of those at some point. Also at the rear we've got the Demand exhaust. Again, I did a video on this fairly recently. It's a new kind of addition, but I'm over the moon with how that's going to transform to how Scout sounds. An amazing bit of kit. That's the 3-inch system. But check those guys out, check their website out, check them on Instagram, and also I'll leave a link to the video below. where I got that installed, and the difference that has made to the sound of Scout is kind of it's big transformation. Now, something else that I've not done a video on yet is the Vickywood awning that we have mounted to the side of the rack. I'll do a video with that coming up soon, but I'll overlay footage now of kind of our new camping setup with the tent and the awning. Amazing bit of kit, but I'll do a full video on that kind of in a future video. But again, it's transformed the way that we camp, and we can sit out of an evening when we're at campsite. So again, another great bit of kit. Now, before we look at the full interior modifications, I thought I'd show you the rear workspace. So I'll open up the door, and the first thing you'll notice is we fitted a front runner drawer system. We use this to store all of our kind of additional camping gear, and you can see it offers a lot of storage whilst not compromising any kind of additional space in the back of the truck. So we throw all of our camping gear in here, and it means that anything that we need to quickly access, we can jump into the drawer to grab, and we're not having to kind of dive through any of our boxes or our bags. So that's been a great addition. I built the shelf system above that, and again, there's a video on the channel. That's just marine plywood, and I upholstered that with carpet. Finishes it off really nicely and looks kind of OEM plus, and means that we can store additional stuff then in the rest of the truck. We recently picked up these front runner cargo boxes from the LRO show, and we're going to look to mount those up on the rack when we go camping. But great bits of kit, waterproof. You can throw all of your kind of maybe your muddy stuff or anything you don't want to kind of have rattling around in the rear of the car into one of these crates, and they'll mount using kind of the front runner stratchet system to the rack. So they're a great addition. Now, one other thing I've got floating around in the back, which I'm yet to fit, is the ORE rear cargo guard. So this will mount to the rear window like so, and offer again additional storage. You can mount quick fists and molly panels or molly bags to this kind of molly grid. Additional storage, anything that again you need quick access to. It's also a bit more of a security measure, so if anyone smashes the rear window, they're not going to be able to grab anything. I'm going to mount that up, and then I'll do a little video showing kind of the benefits of that and how we intend to use it. But that's something, again, I'm excited to fit. I just need to grab 2 minutes to do that. But that kind of summarises then what we've done with the rear workspace. Now, the modifications continue on the interior too. There's been lots of kind of fettling and changing of the interior setup. So I'll talk through a few of those things. So first thing is the upgraded steering wheel. So the standard genuine steering wheel was kind of a massive bus-like steering wheel. So I've taken that off and replaced that with a Motor wheel. This is trimmed in Alcantara, and it's kind of black anodized, and again I think ties in really nicely with the rest of the look of the truck. The beauty of this is that I've also got it mounted on an Optimal quick release steering wheel boss, which means that I can pull the 2 pins like so and remove the steering wheel. So at night I'm kind of got the comfort that I've got that extra layer of security. Once the steering wheel is removed, you can then fit the steering wheel boss, and that slots on the boss like so, and you can lock that, and again no one's going to be driving off with your Defender, or it's another layer of security to your Defender. So I definitely recommend that and any other security upgrades you can do to your car. With that, I'll just pop the steering wheel back on. So along with the steering wheel, there's other modifications too. I've got the Exmoor trim high-rise cubby box. That's trimmed in leather and white stitch to match the XS trim seats. So as standard on an XS Defender, you've got the split leather seats, so I wanted kind of the interior parts to match. So we've done that. We've also fitted Apple CarPlay, again in a recent video, hopefully you'll have seen that, but that's transformed again how we use the car. So we've got Apple CarPlay, which means we can connect Google Maps, Waze, all from this system. A real neat solution, and again has modernised the inside of the car. To do that, they had to move some of the switches, so we've got a new switch panel cut, and on here we've got mounted up switches for spotlights, the rear work lights, and then any of those additional switches that had to move to accompany the bigger screen. So a big change, but again a massive improvement to modernising the car. Smaller things, a lot of people again over on Instagram ask about these collars. These almost reference the old style heritage gear stick colours. So you've got yellow for gear and red for the high and low diff. They were a little eBay find. I think they're just 3D printed collars that I've just glued onto the sticks, but they look great. And yeah, it's something that I'm often asked about on Instagram. It's often the small things that people ask, you know, where did you get those from, which is quite funny. Beneath the passenger seat, we've got an ORE cargo storage panel. That's got some Molly pouches mounted to it. Again, additional storage in that space between your legs and the seat that kind of is never used. Again, for those quick little things when you're camping or any kind of additional storage. So another great addition. And also we've got the, I can't remember where this was from, but I'll put the link description box below. Additional storage in the dash. This basically turns what is originally just a standard dash into a flat where you can store stuff. It looks like we've got a lot of cashew nuts stored in there. Other than that, the interior has been soundproofed. Well, some of it I'm still kind of working my way around, but all of the floor pans, the gearbox tunnels, all of the rear tub. Next up, I need to do the roof and then the doors too, which will make it, again, a significant improvement. But even the stuff that I have done has made an impact. And then we've also got genuine Land Rover mats in here, so we're not trashing any of the carpet when we're getting in and out with muddy boots. One final thing on the interior is the mud light. So again, a standard, the bulb and the light in the standard, the courtesy light is really poor and really low. This one is super bright, and you can toggle it between red light and white light, and it makes a big difference, especially of an evening, lighting up the whole interior. It's all of those small modifications that really add up to it being a bit more of a usable everyday car, as it is for me. So there you have it, guys. That's an updated walk around of all of the modifications that we've done to Scout so far. As you can see, it's kind of travelled a long way from where it was when we bought it, but there's still loads of things that we're wanting to do. So be sure to subscribe and follow the adventure as we make those modifications. As always, also, if you like the video, please drop it a like, and also follow us over on Instagram to follow more of the adventures that we don't cover on YouTube. And I'll see you in the next video.